with a pandemic, shaky economy, human rights violations, and riots. What might be coming next, and why is it all happening? Leo 19 Tallarico, a longtime professional astrologer, will show us the planetary movements behind all this transformation. Is it possible extraterrestrial beings are a part of all this? Sit back and enjoy the ride as Leo takes us on a journey into the cosmos, showing us humanity's movement into the age of Aquarius, which will unite us all, even in the face of our world's challenges. And now, Perspectives from the Sky with Leo.
Hi everyone, this is Leo, and this is October 16th, 2021. And first let me say this, we have a couple of very special guests today. They are founders and co-directors of the Mother Earth Restoration Trust. So we will be talking to them probably in about half an hour. Big picture, as I say every show, we've moved out of an old age and we have moved into a new age. The turning point was winter solstice 2020. That's when Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct in Aquarius at 0+ degrees of Aquarius. And to me, that was the sign that I was looking for of it's starting the Aquarian age. Not like, boom, here we are, kind of a new age. But, the old president's out, got voted out just a few weeks before the winter solstice. And here's someone coming in, not a savior, not a perfect person, not a person who represents that much, this new age we're moving into in his consciousness. But nevertheless, you could feel and see the switch into some positive, especially those people who were really feeling, my God, I can't believe this man is president and what he's brought into our world, to our country. And so when he lost and Biden won, that was like a big feeling of relief for a lot of people and a turning point people could feel into something better. So that's the big picture. 2,100 years ago, approximately, a new age started around the time of the Roman Empire and the birth of Christ. That's when the old age started. But the birth of Christ has become the Christian church and the Muslim church later. But what it's become is big religion as we come to the end of the age. Now it's time, as we switch ages, to get to the meaning of what the Pisces age was so that we can bring it with us. And a lot of what it was spiritual values. Spiritual values and a sense spiritually that everyone and everything comes together as one. And compassion and empathy. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. These are the best things that Christ and the Christian values, the Muslim values brought to us in the beginning. They were in their essence. There's all these wonderful, beautiful things. But now as we get to the end of the age, we see a lot of the churches have become empty vessels. Their original soul and spirit messages are not there in many cases. So we move into this new age. I know so many of you, myself included, have been really feeling like a lot of intensity and things being confusing at times. And because you could feel things are really shaking up and they're not always easy. It's been challenging. And here's some of what's going on now to help us, and in the near future, to help us understand more. First of all, moving into a new age is not just about like an outer directed way of looking at things. It's about a consciousness change. That's the most important thing about this changing into new age, is we, as participants in the New Age, human participants in the New Age, we want to be able to move into the consciousness that's for the New Age and let go of the consciousness for the Old Age. And you can see some of the consciousness for the Old Age when you look out into the world. There's more of a sense of separation, not unity. There's lots of violence. There's feelings or a dogma or a paradigm that's like dog eat dog. Every man for himself. In this new world, in this new age, we are all one. Everyone and everything is connected. The dots of the universe are connected. And love and truth are the pillars of this new world. So this has a lot to do with the consciousness we all need to move into. And there's so much fear swirling around everywhere that it's not easy sometimes to move into the new consciousness. Love, truth, empathy. It's so easy to get distracted by things going on around us that bring up fear. Fear is the opposite of love. If we let fear take over, then we are not trusting that we live in a loving universe. So work on your belief system. Meditation, being in nature. People that think and feel the same as you do. Not in everything, just the general thing we just talked about the world we're moving into is about connections, love and truth. You can see how difficult that is when you look out at the outer world. Like so much is, like I said, so much is fear, but then so much also the other pillar of the new world, truth. It's like people spin the truth now. You look out into the mainstream and even outside the mainstream, and it's hard to find what the truth is because people are spinning it, and truth is all too often about what I want it to be, not what it is. Love and truth are not against each other. Love and truth are meant to come together as one. Just like in the yin yang symbol, which I think I got one above. No, I don't think. I've got one right over my shoulder there, the yin yang symbol. You can see the two opposites are enclosed as one. And that's the new age. Yes, there's opposites. Yes, we live in a world of duality here in the 3D world. But that world of duality can be everything coming together, not everything fighting everything else. So as we're in this turning point, and the intensity gets stronger and stronger, you want to change your consciousness. So you don't want or need to be in control of everything. You know, the ego wants control, in part because it's scared to death, because it doesn't trust anything. It doesn't believe in love. It believes in we need to control everything around us in order to feel safe. So again, the pillars of this new world are love and truth. And we can each move into that place inside ourselves. And as we do, we're no longer crippled by the fear that takes people out of the connections. And again, the New Age in Aquarius is about these connections. It's about diversity within unity. I think in the past, oftentimes, when people think of unity, they think of everybody being the same. True unity coming into the age of Aquarius is not everybody being the same. It's everyone being as individualized as it's meant to be, authentically. And from that place, unity. So you don't slap people around to get them to believe and think like you do. You become more involved in understanding people's differences, races, nationalities, sexual orientations. They're just ways of thinking too, and beliefs and attitudes. So again, probably one of the easiest ways to get into this new consciousness is through meditation, but also being in nature helps for a lot of people. Music helps a lot of people. And like I said before, being around people who, at least on this account, believe as you do, which is we're moving into a world of greater love, greater truth, and connections, not separations. But we've got a lot to deal with at the same time. You look out in the world, and you can't like wish it away and say all the things that are happening are like, now they're gone. Now this is something we got to move through. Just like you in your personal life when you're transforming. A lot of times part of the transformation is a lot of your old wounds and traumas come up on you to be worked out, to be released, so that you can embrace the new you in the new chapter of your life. So there's things going on in the outer world that are going to get darker, so we might as well get used to it. And remember, in your world, it doesn't have to be that way. But remember, I've been writing about this is a turning point time period in the middle of October. And the eclipse season comes November, December. So now's the time at this turning point. And it's a turning point because there's 4 planets that have been going direct. 2 more on Monday. Mercury, thank God, everybody says, and Jupiter, both going direct on Monday. And then everything that needs to be direct now will be going direct and then moving into these eclipses that are coming up soon. So I had said before during the last show that October 10th kept sticking out at me all the time. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Saw those numbers over and over again. So I started believing that there's some kind of turning point just on that day alone, or fated events may happen. I don't know of any actual fated events that happened that day, but I do know there was a lot that was staring me in the face that day of things that were apparently imminent to come into our world. Sometimes people, when I talk about these things, they say, don't talk about it, you're making it happen. Oh boy, don't give me that kind of power. I'm not making it happen. I'm trying to report truth, because love without truth is living in a dream world. Truth without love is being totally cynical. But love and truth together, that's part of the marriage that works and part of the new world. So here's some things that are coming our way. The economy is really going to flip soon. I've been studying the United States stock market chart too. I think you'll find it interesting that Pluto, which is a guardian of the underworld, and we know how that's a Scorpio planet. Pluto in the stock market chart is conjunct the United States from its natal chart, moon. The moon represents our inner values. The United States moon is in Aquarius. So the age we're moving into are the inner values that the United States has had since July 4th, 1776. Yeah, it's done a lot of really rotten things for African Americans, for Native Americans, but it did come in with these values that are good values, regardless if they've been able to live up to them or not. The chart for the stock market has the sun in Taurus up at the top of the chart, and it trines the United States chart, Pluto in Capricorn, which is the military-industrial complex, which is the empire. That same sun in Taurus, while it works well with the Pluto, which is returning, by the way, Pluto return, is square and makes a horrible aspect to the moon in Aquarius. So from the United States inception, its inner values, Aquarian values, power to the people, freedom, liberty, those values have been at odds with money and possessions and security. The material world values have been strong in the United States and have, in many cases, and it feels like it recently, wiped out those wonderful inner values that are part of the United States Constitution. So we're fighting for that too, fighting for the deeper values and not the materialism to run our world. And the ego just loves getting involved in that material world and controlling everything so you can get rich and famous. Rich and famous. The downside, the shadow of the United States values. And you want to see that shadow up close? Check out our last president. Rich and famous. Rich and famous. If that's a country's top values, that's what you're going to get. So remember, we have moved into the Aquarian age, 1 year into it. Winter solstice, 2020 is when it started. So we've got the wind of the universe at our back. We've got love and truth getting stronger and stronger. Don't concentrate on the events in the world. Yeah, know what they are. That's why I'm bringing them up. Know what they are. You should know what's going on. But don't focus on them. Don't take them in. Don't give them more energy than they deserve, because they'll just bring up more fear. But like I said, the economy is going south. That's going to happen. So be prepared. The United States and Israel are most likely going to attack Iran before too long, probably before the winter's over. And I'm also concerned at times about China invading Taiwan. I'm hoping it doesn't happen right away, but trust me, it's going to happen before too long. That's the way things are moving. And then there's this horrible culture war that gets stronger and stronger in the United States. And that's another thing that happened on October 10th. So all sorts of people were on the news talking about we're going to have an actual physical civil war. And sometimes it really looks like that. Things are falling apart so they can come back together again. Just like in your own life when you're going through transformation. What's not right for you is going to fall apart so that you can more firmly and beautifully embrace the new chapter you're moving into and the higher values that you're moving into. So right in front of us, a lot of this tension that's been about Mercury retrograde too. And I know how people feel about Mercury retrograde, and it's real easy to feel like, oh, when is this thing over? Well, it's over on Monday. Mercury goes back direct, and Jupiter goes direct on the same day. So things will start clearing up mentally, and also the planet of expansion and optimism, positive outlook is going direct also. Remember with Mercury retrograde that it usually takes about a week before the full clarity comes in while it's direct. So be patient. Don't rush your decisions. Don't rush anything. All is in divine order if you let it happen. This doesn't mean become passive. Sometimes I say, let it happen or let go or surrender. People will tell me, then I won't get anything done. No, that's not true. We're not talking passive. We're talking connected to source and to your authentic self. And if you surrender to those things, they'll let you know when to act and when not to act and what to act on. So trust. That will take you where you need to go. That'll take us where we need to go. But trust doesn't mean that we expect the world to be perfect out there. It's not now, it never has, it never will be perfect. But we can make it aligned with the age of Aquarius by doing our inner work. Consciousness is everything. What's going on in the inner world, what's going on in your consciousness determines what your life is going to be like. So remember, that's where the work needs to be done. So now we've got Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Mercury, all going to be direct on Monday. And the other thing, this is going to sound kind of trite to some people, but it's a very subtle thing inside between the glass being half empty and the glass being half full. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's important. And just like, look, half full, half empty. You want to work on half full. because then you'll start seeing life in a whole different light. Not with rose-colored glasses. You're not living in a dream world. You're just believing that you live in a meaningful universe and things are happening as they need to. And that's what you can do when you fall into that kind of consciousness. So, yeah, and I'm looking forward to bringing our guests on today. I think you're gonna enjoy them. So on 10/18, when Mercury and Jupiter go back direct, it's going to be like portals opening into the eclipse season. The first eclipse is about a month away from that, and it's going to be on the 21st of November. And it's a lunar eclipse, full moon in Scorpio Taurus, meaning sun in Scorpio, moon in Taurus. All lunar eclipses are full moons, and all full moons are the sun and the moon being exactly opposite one another. Then there's a second eclipse, and that eclipse is on December 4th, and that's a solar eclipse at 12 degrees, 22 minutes of Sagittarius. Why am I being that specific? I'm going to tell you why. That 12 degrees, 22 minutes of Sagittarius is exactly where the United States rising sign sits, at 22 degrees, 21 minutes of Sagittarius. In 9/11, when it happened, just a couple of weeks before the actual event, that part of the chart, the ascendant descendant, was being aspected. Saturn on the descendant, 12 degrees, 21 minutes. Pluto on the ascendant, 12 degrees, 21 minutes, the exact spot. Saturn and Pluto, when they're together, are extremely destructive. They want to destruct what has been that doesn't work anymore. But sometimes they just seem like they're just self-destructive. Hard to figure out right away what the positive part is, but it does turn out to be, it was meant to be, for this to end. So I could go another step with this now. In 1947, July 3rd, 1947, you know what was going on then? The Roswell incident. The aliens that arrived. July 3rd, 1947 was a lunar eclipse full moon in Sagittarius at 12 degrees, 22 minutes of Sagittarius. Do you see how this is all kind of coming together? So a lot of the astrological aspects, not just that one, from back in 1947, are happening during this eclipse season. I'm not predicting out and out that we're going to have a visitation, but I wouldn't doubt it. And if we're not, we're going to get more and more evidence of what really exists. And they do exist. On July 8th, 1947, the Army in Roswell, the United States Army, the part that was stationed in Roswell, said they recovered a flying disc. In fact, I'll get even a better quote. This is by the military. Spacecraft crash landed, and extraterrestrial occupants were recovered by the military. Whoa! But you know what? A half hour later, it was a weather balloon. Sorry, that was a big mistake. You made a mistake on the occupants that came out. Occupants came out of the weather balloon. So that's what was happening back then. Yeah, and then officials, not local officials there, or even United States officials, but other officials that have more to do with actual UFOs, were quoted. Someone was quoted saying an alien craft above New Mexico desert was observing nuclear weapons activity and then crashed afterward from lightning. Looking at nuclear weapon activity. This is one of the theories that I kind of lean toward, is that they are here because they're scared to death what's going to happen to this cell in the universe with our self-destructive ways. like the nuclear weapons. That's something they apparently are very concerned about. Climate change is another one. In fact, I interviewed Dr. John Mack. I've talked about this before. He was a psychiatrist at Harvard. He died just a few years ago. But he was told about people being abducted by aliens. And he'd laugh to himself. He's a psychiatrist, remember, head of psychiatry at Harvard. He said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you how crazy insane these people are who say they've been abducted. No, that's not how he felt when he came back. He felt it was legitimate. He interviewed over 200 people. Again, he's a psychiatrist. And he said it was valid. It was valid in the flesh, like they actually saw them. In some cases, he believed that it was valid that they were in another dimension and experienced this. Either way, he felt it was real and has written some books about it. Passport to the Cosmos is one of them. Again, Dr. John Mack. And he believed that there were people that have been abducted, but he also believed, I mean, that's pretty bad, but he also believed, because this is what he was told by the abductees, that they were to help in on the environmental problems and troubles going on in the United States. And they were to influence others also to stand up for this principle that needs to be faced, which is our environment is in trouble if we don't do something about that. Our world is. And our guests that are going to come up pretty soon are going to tell us more about Mother Earth and restoring her and treating her well. So when I hear that the aliens wanted that also, apparently wanted that also, I don't know how much to take of all this. I do believe it mostly because this guy's pretty credible. He's not like somebody, I don't want to disparage anybody, but he's someone who is pretty damn credible. And when I put him on the show, he was when he talked also. The interview I did with him in 2002, if you go up to the Johnny Mack Trust website.org, you can hear or read the interview that I did with him back in 2001 when I had a radio show in Santa Fe on their public radio station, KSFR, which was a real labor. I love doing that. But you'll enjoy listening to that interview, I know. Well, I think we've come a long way now on what we need to for today with all the astrological stuff. So you know that the rest of this year is going to be pretty intense, right? And we're most likely going to have some challenging events. So your challenge, my challenge, is to stay connected. Stay connected with Source. Stay connected with the universe. Stay connected with the Mother. Stay connected with yourself. Your higher self, not your ego self. Stay connected everywhere and trust. And let go. You don't need to control. Let go of the shore. Let the river take you. Trust the river. And if you've had a lot of traumatic things happen in your life that make it difficult for you to do so, and I totally understand that, get some help. Get some help to move through those traumas so that you can trust again. So let's change gears here. And I'm going to introduce to you Nelson Caravallo and Erica Ohliger. They're the founders and co-directors of Mother Earth Restoration Trust. And they're going to have a benefit coming up. And I want to bring them on so we can hear what that is. Hey guys, Nelson, Erica.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you too.
How are you? How you been doing lately?
We've been doing very well, thank you. We've been getting ready for this benefit, which we're very excited about.
Tell everyone about the benefits, the date and the purpose and the costs and everything.
The benefit is, as the name implies, benefit for the Mother Earth. And it's an action that is birthed from a process, if you will. A process that many of us are part of, that reaches the mountains, or a very special place in the world, in the mountains of Colombia, South America, where we have four peoples that are, for the rest of humanity, preserving something of invaluable meaning and purpose for this time specifically. And what they preserve is a relationship, a sacred relationship with the mother herself, with all the elemental beings in nature that sustain us alive. And they took on they made the agreement and committed to sharing what they hold with the rest of humanity. And we are just a bridge for that. We are just carrying out a role and a purpose so that what they have to share actually comes out to the world. And we have been able to do this because we have the great fortune of being not only friends, but also an integral part of their own processes for permanence and for their own preservation as cultures, as indigenous people.
Yes.
We have been cultivating a relationship with them over the last 22 years, and yes, we are very, very fortunate and of course grateful that they are, in their generosity and in their own commitment to preserve universal balance on this planet, that they actually want to share this with the rest of humanity.
Were was that your culture growing up, Nelson, by the way? Did you grow up in Colombia? No?
No. I migrated to the U.S. when I was 7 years old, and did go back and forth throughout my lifetime, and of course still hold a very intimate and dear relationship with my country, and today with these people. And the beauty of who they are actually is that this moment in time is all about humanity remembering that we are all children of the same mother, of this great mother we call Earth, and that our unity actually could be found on the common grounds of a purpose that we can all share, which is caring for the mother herself as she sustains us alive. So when we say benefit for the mother, is simply another expression or an action that we're taking to help others remember that this could be a point of, that this is in effect a point of convergence for all the races, all the religions,
yes,
all the colors, and it's
yes.
unity. It's unity that we're being called back to in this common purpose.
And beyond bridging the wisdom, the pre-ancient, actually, it's pre-ancient, which is the wisdom that they have preserved before light was even birthed. That's how far back their memory goes. But beyond being a bridge for their wisdom, it's more of being a bridge to, through their consultations with the earth herself, it's being a bridge for the voice of the mother herself, through their consultations, through their own remembrance of how they keep that connection to her in every single moment of every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not bridging a culture,
right?
It's bridging literally the voice of the mother in her expression of where she is at, where her being is at, and how and her feelings with relative to all of the children of the earth, which embraces, of course, all the races. And in her eyes, we're seen equally, of course, and everyone is equally valued for the medicine and the peace that they hold in that collective whole of existence. So,
what has she been saying lately?
well, there's listening to your speaking prior before coming on, you were speaking about consciousness.
Yes.
And one of the things that she has reiterated is that the only salvation to bringing balance back on Earth and therefore the universe is going to be through consciousness.
Yes.
And that in the, we hear the word unity and unification a lot. And the wounding that's taking place, the healing that's the wounding that's taken place, and the healing that is taking place is a process of healing. But she reminds us that there is a lot of talk about unity, and it's a beautiful concept. But until we really truly start only edifying one another,
yes,
only edifying one another, will there be true unity.
Indeed.
Yes, and that's a great opportunity for all of us today to actually be a bridge for the mother. It doesn't, in other words, a relationship with these four peoples on the mountain in Colombia is not what's going to allow you to be a bridge for the mother. Every one of us can actually do this, bridge her voice, be her voice, by simply remembering that number one, she is who sustains us alive. We are here thanks to her own existence. We are here, of course, thanks to the sun, the moon, the stars, the air, and that is so much that we, for some time now, many of us have taken for granted.
Yes.
And restoring and healing could begin by simply remembering to make the earth a priority. And we can do that with every word we speak, beautifying nature, edifying each other, complementing each other in our actions, and just living in gratitude, where that gratitude inspires us to reciprocate everything we receive from nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
And those two principles, the principle of complementarity and reciprocity, are inherent all the way down to the molecular level and how electrons interact,
Mm-hmm.
the configuration of molecules. It's all through the principles of reciprocity and complementarity. And if we can just remember these principles and actually live them in our daily lives, the world will be transformed tomorrow.
Yes.
Like you very well said, pointed out, we see what's happening in the world, and it's going to be a process to dismantle many of the things that we have created that are harming everything that sustains us alive, and therefore are harming ourselves. It's going to be a process to dismantle that and to restructure and re-edify it.
And that's our consciousness again, the work, as you were saying, that's where the work is, down inside of ourselves.
The essence of the work, that's it.
That is restoration and her understanding of what gives, how do we get the rights of the water, or the rights of the earth, or the rights of anything on this planet. It's going to be through living, consecrating principles that we were given at the beginning of time, which were just simply care for the earth, and that is how we care for it. That is how we cared for. And restoring the earth, there's no separation between ourselves and the mother herself, or all the elemental beings of nature. We've just simply forgotten and are little by little remembering. We do want to say that there is a remembrance taking place, but it's through that union, that communion, that we are not separate from her, that we are living today, everything based on our own disorder internally as human beings, as a humanity, and that when we recover that, as we're recovering that, and that happens through having the courage to deeply analyze self and the things that are very challenging that we do need to face sometimes in order to release it, in order to let go of those patterns that are not serving all of life or ourselves, whether they were imprinted on us through education or family or generations of disorder, however you want to call it. The best way that we're going to be able to begin restoring, even in the realm of actions out there, are going to be from that place of restoration within, that courage of being able to look at healing ourselves. And there's many ways to do that. Many ways to do that.
Do you believe? You know, some people will say, "Tell me what your opinion of this is." You know, some people will say, "You know, the abuse that we're doing to the earth. I'm not worried about the earth. I'm worried about the human family. She's tough. She's strong. She'll make it through whatever we give her, even though it's horrible. But we're destroying ourselves. That's really what's happening." What do you think about that statement?
Well,
it's mixed because, first of all, I have to say we generally don't give our opinions because we have these amazing elders who have role modeled for us, and we have never seen them give opinions. Whenever we've asked a question, they consult with the earth, and they give counsel from her based on how she responds to the question.
Oh, I like that.
So it is twofold in what we've been given through some of those consultations. She indeed is a being that feels everything that is happening to her on the planet. That is very real. And she has a lot of help. And what makes her unique to answer to the question is that she's been living these principles that were given to her at the origins. She had principles and agreements that she had to live in order to also be here alive, in order to sustain all of the children here on the planet. And what was going to allow that to happen in perpetuity is her living those principles and being true to the agreements she made to care for all of life. And that's what protects her, because she is still today living those original agreements and principles, where her human children are truly the only ones that forgot. And she's been lovingly waiting for us to remember that we also made agreements. And that is what sustains, who's going to sustain her. So she's able to continue to sustain us.
Yes.
We have to also sustain her. And in doing that, it's a remembering process. So.
Is there a correlation in your minds between the way women and actual human mothers have been treated and this mistreatment of the earth?
Yes. As a man, I would like to speak to it, actually, because one, we acknowledge that all of us, men and women, come from women. We are here thanks to a woman giving birth to us. And the way we, or humanity, what we have seen throughout recent history and well beyond recent history, in terms of how women have been treated, is indeed a direct reflection of how the earth has been treated. When we say, remember who gave you birth, we're saying, honor, revere that which gave you birth. Honor the feminine, honor woman. Yes. Remember that you're here thanks to a woman.
Yes.
It's remembrance. And then in that same regard, today, we're being asked to remember it is the earth who sustains us alive. In other words, revere and honor her. And that has many, there are many opportunities within that invitation to remember her as a being who sustains us alive. Many ways we can do that. And very simply, we can begin within ourselves by consecrating our words, consecrating our thoughts, consecrating our actions. And may all our creativity and co-creativity in our unified field be with the purpose of sustaining her and caring for her.
Keeping her in the forefront of every action and thought and word we have is also something that she has expressed. But on the other side of that, I would like to compliment Nelson, that she also, over the years, has shared that, yes, it's relative to how masculine has treated feminine and in their own understanding of that reverence or what's been forgotten there, but it's also been women that need to take that responsibility as daughters of the earth, we carry all the sacred sites that she carries, and that if we allowed that to happen as well. So we have a very strong responsibility in that, women do, because we are being asked by the mother to show a path that is an example, that is a remembering process as well, that begins a process of deeply respecting all the sacred sites that we hold and how we hold ourselves, and coming back even to feminine principles that we have forgotten as women, that also gave our rights away at the same time. So it's everybody that's involved in this.
Yes, men and women.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Let's lead that into talking more about the benefit and the purpose of it and how people can attend.
Yes, the benefit. Wow, the benefit. There is a purpose beyond the benefit for our mother, where musicians, sound healers, there'll be some speaking taking place. Is all there to nourish and keep her in the forefront and bring healing to her, that she's here in the forefront of our thoughts, of our hearts, of our minds. We're thinking of her. We are even going to be playing music for her, and that in itself is a purpose. And then there's a deeper purpose within that purpose, which was the purpose of this specific event is to bring more awareness about the Verde River and her headwaters, and how the river and the springs, the headwaters,
that birthed the river,
are how they came into our the Mother Earth Restoration Trust, into our awareness. And these are some of the things that we will be discussing there. But the springs themselves, there's a tract of land outside of right in the area of Halden that holds 7 springs that birth the Verde River. And those springs, through consultations with the earth of the 4 peoples, the mother had shared that the life of the river was in danger, under threat of losing its life. And of course, that's her daughter, one of her children. And these elemental beings of nature also have their own laws and their own principles that they have lived from the beginning of time. And she came to share that she asked that it needed to be preserved and it needed to be protected. And would we make a commitment to make sure that happened? And of course, in the work that we do with the Mother Earth Restoration Trust, we are in service to the Mother herself. Everything that we do in all of our programs is consulted with her in the way she's needing to heal on the earth body. So we took that on the MERT with many others who have are in this unified purpose with us, that have been walking with us for many years, and who have been out there to the land itself. And we're in that process of trying to recover it. But one of the most important aspects that comes into the essence of this benefit of the land itself are the springs. And the springs, in the way that the Mother has given to us, they represent the innocence and purity of children. That's what they spiritually represent.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And so the innocence and purity is in need of being preserved on the planet.
And restored and healed in all of us. In all of us. If you look at humanity today, all across the world, and we analyze deeply innocence and purity in the children, in the young adults, in the elderly ones, and there's something to be analyzed, to be looked at, to be healed, and to be restored and recovered. Innocence and purity. If you think of a spring, sometimes we say, well, we can drink water from here because it's pure water. And when we ask ourselves today, how is the water in the world today? When we ask ourselves, for that matter, how is the air? And then if we think of innocence and purity as coming from a source, then we understand why they represent children. We understand why it's imperative for us to look within, because what we see out there is a reflection of what humanity is within.
Yes.
So there's a strong call for us to analyze what actually affects, whether in a positive way or in a negative way, the innocence and purity of the world and of the children today.
I could feel it. I could feel it as you were talking about it, that the innocence that the springs represent.
Yes, and then when there's tract of land, the tract of land is one thing, and what they represent is what's going to take us beyond into consciousness, actually, into the realm of consciousness. And we're going to remember the value or the invaluable meaning that innocence and purity has for the restoration and for the well-being of all of life on the planet. And this is what the benefit is going to shed light on. This is what we have been asked to bring out into the world as a remembrance, as a way to help others remember.
So this is important for everybody listening, no matter where you live in the country and in the world. This is not just an Arizona issue.
No. This is a worldwide issue, and this is just a seed that represents all of those springs all over the world, all the rivers all over the world that have dried up. It's time to make a conscious decision of how we're going to move forward and make decisions that keep nature at the forefront, because we cannot be here without them. And we were here to be part of them, and we still are. We're just remembering that little by little. So we're just deeply humbled because she continues to show us and guide us in memories that, they're there. And when you hear them, you're like, of course. But yet we have forgotten. And so they're there inside of us. And we're just honored to be able to share with other human family members what we've been given. And hopefully that will awaken something inside of every human being, and awaken a memory of our responsibilities here that we have to fulfill in this lifetime. And that's going to go down in many generations, we pray. So this is a seed, and we're really excited about it, and feel very honored and grateful to be here with you today, and to be doing something for the earth, and something for all of nature, because truly we're here advocating for nature.
Yes.
We advocate for nature, nature advocates for us.
Tell people how they can get involved, how they can be a part of this, and how they can contribute.
Well, you can go to the Mother Earth Restoration .world website, the Mother Earth Restoration.world. Pardon me, the Mother Earth Restoration Trust.world website. And maybe there's a way that you can post that in your, I'm not sure, but it's very simple. Just look up the Mother Earth Restoration Trust.world. And you can go into our website. It's still, there's an event page, and you can find it. And it's really an invitation, one, to participate in this event if you're local here, and two, wherever you may be, like you very well pointed out, Leo, you can do something. You can find the springs, what is happening around the springs, and what is happening with the innocence and purity of the children here. Through the music, through television, and there's so many currents out there that can easily take our children in any direction. And how is that being cared for? we can do something anywhere from everywhere that we're at right now. And again, if you're here locally, we invite you to take a look at the event page. And there's one component, if I may. Sorry, Leo.
Yes, no, that's okay.
One thing. We are recovering this tract of land where the springs are for their protection. And there's a whole dialogue that's going to unfold around the protection of these springs, of course. In Arizona alone, many of us know today that 6 out of the 7 perennial rivers have now pretty much dried up. The Verde River is the last perennial river still flowing through Arizona. 6 out of 7.
Well, I didn't know that. Huh.
And it actually nourishes 78% of the habitat of all of Arizona.
Huh.
Yeah. Yes.
I understand you're going to have some wonderful musicians that people can listen to also. My wife Deborah's involved with all this, and she told me you got some extra special musicians. Tell people about that.
Well, your wife has been an integral part of this vision that became the benefit for our Mother Earth. She has been to the land and has spoken to nature and has felt nature and connected to the mother. And we just want to honor her too today, because it was her vision and her dream.
There she is.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
She was awakened in the middle of the night by nature and the mother, and here we are, and we're just inspired by her and her vision, and we're so humbled.
Yes, you can tell us about the musicians, Aurelia. I mean,
yes.
Can you do that, please?
Sure. So I'm echoing for some reason. Can you hear the echo?
No, I don't hear the echo from this end.
We'll mute.
No. Yeah, we'll mute.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So there's going to be a lineup of musicians. And well, first we're going to have Eric and Nelson are going to be speaking. And we're going to have some beautiful prayers and opening ceremony. And the children are going to sing a beautiful song from the mother. And we have William Eden and the River Band. And they have a lot of songs that they have specially written to the Verde River. And we also have Peter Sterling and his group, and he's going to be playing the harp. And there's a lot of other amazing musicians in those bands. And we have Celia Farron, and she's a Celtic musician. And we have sound healers, Deborah Fleeger and Valerie Iring, and they're going to be playing crystal singing bowls. And we also have Max Ribner and his band, and they play a lot of different musical instruments. And I think there's going to be some more other in playing in between Parangi and also Rob and his band. So it's going to be a really beautiful day.
Peter has been on this show with his harp. You remember?
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful harp playing.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going to be outdoors at a beautiful pavilion with nature all around, just in the mountains. It'll be beautiful.
And people who live somewhere else can also get involved and hear all the music and the prayers and things like that too.
Well,
Deborah, could people get a hold of you? Could people get a hold of you?
We're hoping it's going to be live streamed.
Yes.
So that if it is, then people from everywhere can actually be part of it. And I just want to say one last thing is that every song, every word, every sound is to be an offering and a blessing to the mother.
Wonderful.
So that's our core focus.
Can people get a hold of you too to be a bridge for this, to get the information, to learn how to do all this?
Well, sure. I mean, people can reach me or just go to the website, the Mother Earth Restoration Trust.world, and just go up to the event page, and everything's right there. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It was quite a pleasure having you guys on today.
Oh,
Well, we're so grateful and so honored. Thank you so much, Leo, for having us, and beautiful Lilia, your wife. We are so grateful. Thank you. It was wonderful to hear you speak too before we came on. Speaking of the stars and many other things. So may we continue to nourish each other and nature in the process. All
yes.
of us. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Much love to you.
Take care. Much love to everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.